Yo, what's up, guys? Figured I would do a little live stream. We got two WNBA games. We got the Stanley Cup. We got the NBA Finals tomorrow. So, a lot of player props, and we can take a look at PrizePicks Underdog Fantasy, kind of go through some good bets. So, I'll go ahead, I'll share my screen, and then we can kind of get into it. Any questions you have, as always, feel free to put them in here, or you can just email me, alex@oddsjam.com. Pretty easy. So the first promo you definitely want to take advantage of is this Underdog Fantasy one. So you can see they're running a multiplier, right, for Jokic. So if you don't use Underdog Fantasy, pretty good day to sign up. Usually 2-pick entries, you're only getting a 3x payout. So if you go to Underdog, you're going to see, any 2-pick entry you create. So if I do this, let me refresh this right here. But it's pretty simple, right? Any 2-pick entry you create on Underdog, doesn't matter what 2 picks you select, you're usually getting a 3x payout. But if you take Jokic, you can either take his over or his under, you're getting a 10x payout, right? It's a little lame because they only have a $5 max bet size, but still, this is a ridiculously profitable promo. I mean, they usually have a 3x payout on these 2-pick entries. And now you're going to be getting a 10x payout. So you can see I went with this, Natasha Cloud, under 11.5 points. And if it moved, here's kind of, another one. We can just reload the fantasy optimizer, see if anything's good out there. But this is a promo you definitely want to take advantage of. I've explained before, but so if I were you and you didn't already bet this play, what I would take is just this Nelson under 4. So this plays just from the fantasy optimizer. And then you can throw in Jokic, right? And I think for Jokic, you can either take his over or his under 27.5 points. But this is, it's a clear value promo. I've explained before, but the easiest money you're going to make, these books, this is a marketing cost for them. They know this promo is really, really profitable, really, really good. That's why they only give you a $5 max bet size, which is really low. But regardless, definitely a promo you want to take advantage of, super profitable, super high edge, or however you want to think about it for this promo. So what we can do next is we can kind of flip over to the positive EV tool, and we can start to look for some plays on, PrizePicks, Underdog Fantasy. We can look through the WNBA, whatever, just try to see if there's any, value out there. So Fliff is a sports book I've been using for a while now. I've explained this before, but this sports book Fliff, what's cool about it is it's available in basically every state. So if you think about DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars, those are sports books that are only in a few states. Not a few, but I think FanDuel's, it's legal in 13 states. I think Fliff is something like 50. So what you're going to see is Fliff is giving you Jordan Montgomery over 4.5 strikeouts at plus 100. So this is a play I just bet. I put 250 on it, which is the max bet size allowed on Fliff. You can see on Fliff, they have 2 options. They have cash, Fliff cash, which is basically money. And then they have this, these are basically useless, Fliff coins. But Fliff coins are essentially just they're free to play option. And you get some rewards and stuff like that if you use them. But in general, the sports book on Fliff, real money betting, is going to be with Fliff cash. So I locked in Montgomery over 4.5 strikeouts. So what you're going to notice is, right, you're getting this play. We can go into the math a little bit. Why not? Is you're getting this play at plus 100 odds on Fliff, right? So if I pull up this Novig odds calculator, so we're getting this play at plus 100 odds, right, on Fliff, which you can kind of see right here. What you're going to notice is every sports book has the over favored, right? So Bet Online, they're giving you a bit worse of odds on the over, right? So this means they have the over as the favored outcome, right? Pretty simple. Betway has the over favored. In the exact same way, if we just pull up, the NBA lines for tomorrow, the Nuggets are really big favorites, right? The Nuggets are pretty big favorites. So this odds jam algo odds column is just it's a weighted average of all sports books. So obviously the Nuggets are huge favorites. They're roughly minus 300. in game 2 at home, not particularly surprising. So the Nuggets are favored to win the game, right? That's what sportsbooks are telling you. So, unless you think you're smarter than the entire market, every sports book, which has better data feeds, better models, they're taking bets from around the market, moving around lines through supply and demand. Like, the Nuggets are favored to win game 2. This shouldn't be surprising, but it's no different here, right? Montgomery's over 4.5 strikeouts is the favored outcome. It's the more likely outcome according to Bet Online, Betway, Bovada, Pinnacle, Superbook. Like, every other sports book has the over favored, and we're getting this play at plus 100 on Fliff. Fliff is the only book with the under, as the favored outcome, as the juiced outcome, however you want to think about it. So what was I trying to say? But anyway, so like the Nuggets are roughly minus 300. So you have to remember, this kind of goes back to high school math class, but like every odd is just a probability. So like, what does minus 300 mean? It means a 3-1 favorite, 3/4 to win the game, 75% to win the game, right? So the Nuggets are minus 300. According to the betting market, right, the Nuggets are 75% to win the game. So if a sharp bettor said, hey, I actually think the Nuggets are 90% to win the game, right? If some sharp bettor has a model and they're saying, yo, the Nuggets are 90% to win the game, well, 90% to win the game means the Nuggets should be priced at minus 900. Which would mean, minus 350, minus 346, all these minus 300s would be a clear value bet. So you'd want to hammer it. So, just like the way the stock market is based on, supply and demand, it's the same thing in sports betting. If some sharp bettor has a model that's saying the Nuggets are 90% to win, he's going to want to hammer all these lines on the Nuggets until lines get to minus 900. And that's why lines move, right? So you can pull up little line movement charts. It's like lines move basically because of supply and demand from sports bettors. And also so definitely take advantage of this Underdog fantasy promo. I think that's the only book running a really good promo right now. But remember, they also give you a $100 sign-up bonus. If you don't use some of these sports books, like a lot of people are like, oh, signing up for another sports book, it seems hard. I mean, it literally takes like 2 minutes to register for Underdog. They're giving you a $100 sign-up bonus. And then on top of that, you have the really profitable promo on Jokic that you can go with. I mean, it's only a $5 max bet size, but again, they're giving you a $100 deposit bonus. So you put in 100, there's going to be 200 in your account. Throw 5 of it on that Jokic promo with Nelson under 4 strikeouts, which was the second play we found. But anyways, what was I going to say? So if we go back to this play, right, why did I bet this play on Jordan Montgomery? So I try to keep these, live streams like somewhat educational, whatever. So what I can do is go to my picks, and you'll see this play right here is kind of explain a lot of people they talk about their opinions on what a player is going to do, but they're not actually putting their own money on it. They're not actually betting it. So why do I think this bet is good? And it's pretty simple, right? All the other books have the over as the favorite outcome. So all the other books, right? You have to think about it. For example, if we switch over to Pinnacle is known to be a really sharp, smart sports book. However you want to think about it, they take action from all around the world. They have pretty tight lines, whatever. So for various reasons, they're known to be a pretty sharp bookmaker. So you can see they have the over, right, at minus 127, the under at minus 104, right? So they have the over as the favorite outcome. So Jordan Montgomery, he's always going to go over 4.5 strikeouts or under 4.5 strikeouts. Right? So he's always going over or under. So essentially all these other books are data points, right? All these other books, Bet Online has the over slightly favored. So does Betway. So does Bovada. So does Desert Diamond. So does Hot Streak. These are fantasy sites, so they don't count. So does Pinnacle. So does Superbook. So every sports book is saying, yo, we think the over is more likely. So according to Pinnacle, the over is 52.32% to win, right? So if you think about what plus 100 odds is, right? It's like you're flipping a coin with a friend for $100, right? If you win, you get $100 in profit. If you lose $100. If you put $100 on this, if your unit size is $100, right? I'm betting $250 to win $250. So essentially, what this play is it's like we're flipping a coin for $100, but the coin is weighted to go to heads or in this case, over, right? So we know the over is the more likely outcome. So if you and your friend are flipping a coin for $100 and the coin is 52.32% to show up on heads, right? Like obviously you're going to pick heads. That seems like a pretty good trade, right? You know that heads is the more likely outcome. So it's kind of the exact same thing here, if that makes sense. Is like we know the over is more likely. We're getting plus money, which is basically a coin flip. We're flipping a coin for $100, but we know the over is slightly more likely according to all the other data points we have in the sharpest sports books, right? So like this is, really sharp sports betting. Like it's not glamorous necessarily, but you're using data, right? All these books, they all have slightly different models. They've all invested millions of dollars in their ability to set lines, price lines, right? But they all have slightly different models. So they all have slightly different odds. And essentially what we're looking for is because all these books have different lines, we're looking for spots where a sports book is screwing up, right? We're looking for massive discrepancies in where books are pricing a line. Anyways, let's go to PrizePicks. So to deposit money on Fliff, you just go to here, I think account. So like, here's what you get, right? If you use the Fliff coins, you get experience points, which basically you can redeem for money, but you go to shop and then basically you can just deposit, right? Like, so you can pick what you want and you want to get, you want to get this, like if you want to deposit $100, do you want $100 of Fliff cash? Anyways, let's go ahead. Let's kind of get into some plays. So the first play, whatever, I'd recommend locking in on this live stream is the Jordan Montgomery over 4.5 strikeouts, but let's refresh this tool. Let's go over to PrizePicks. Well, we can start in the WNBA. So the WNBA, I've explained this in other videos too, but like, it's not necessarily like, maybe the hottest market to bet on, but like sports books watch their lines a lot less closely in the WNBA because it's, a less popular sport. So here's like this play, for example. So let me hide these. We don't need to see PrizePicks and parlay play twice. So we can start building a slip on PrizePicks. And this is, again, just the sportsbook screen. So nothing complicated, really. It just kind of like, literally shows you where books are setting lines. And like, it's kind of like a little Bloomberg terminal, however you want to think about it. Like you want to look through the market and you want to find discrepancies. So this play, right, seems pretty good. Shakira Austin, her line is 9.5 rebounds. So we can start building a PrizePicks slip. And maybe there's some value on other books, whatever. But what we can do is we can go to the WNBA. We can go to rebounds, and we want Shakira Austin, and we want to take her under 9.5 rebounds. So again, like WNBA has some pretty big pricing discrepancies. So if you take a look, right, Underdog Fantasy has her line lower, and then the sports books have her line a full point lower, right? So like PrizePicks is at 9.5. Underdog Fantasy is like, no, PrizePicks is too high. Line should be at 9. And then all the sports books are like, no, line should be at 8.5. We also don't need to see DraftKings twice. So I'll hide this. DraftKings has slightly different odds in Tennessee. I think due to the tax rate in Tennessee, they like bake in a little more juice sometimes. But like here, long story short, it's clear Shakira Austin, right? Her line is too high on PrizePicks. We have 3 sports books telling us the line should be set at 8.5 rebounds. Underdog's at 9, right? And then PrizePicks is at 9.5. So it's pretty clear, like, yo, PrizePicks, what are you doing? So that's the first play we can go with. And then we can head over to like, player assists. So I kind of just like to scan through. We can scan through the whole WNBA first before we get on to NBA, And again, like lines move. I've explained before, but like MLB lines tend to move when lineups are released. So you can see here, right? Like lineups are being released for the MLB. That affects everything, right? Like, for example, who are the Rangers playing? I don't know, but we can take a look. So if we go over here and we go to all sports, so you can see the Rangers are playing the Mariners, right? So let's say this lineup has a lot of hitters who are more likely to strike out, right? Well, the Mariners starting pitcher, if he's facing a bunch of guys who strike out a lot, his over for player strikeouts will become more favored, right? Because a lot of people, it's not necessarily clear sometimes like, yo, why is this strikeout bet? Why did lines just move so much? And a lot of times it's based off lineup news. So the starting pitcher, Logan Allen, no idea who this guy is. Did I already bet on him? Because this play seems pretty good on Fliff. So I did already bet this. So I bet this at minus 115, right? And you can see it still looks good at minus 120. So I locked this in a parlay a bit ago. But it still looks good at minus 120 if you want to lock it in. 4% profit margin, right? You got to remember, like, this is why sports betting, you can make a lot of money sports betting, is if you just have a 2% edge on your bet or ROI. So this is edge, ROI, however you want to think about it. If you just have a 2% profit margin, there's 30 days in a month. You're typically betting on games that are today. I mean, sure, the NBA Finals is tomorrow, but you're usually betting on games, MLB, NBA, NHL, that are that day. So if you have a 2% profit margin on your bets, that's a 2% profit margin a day. That's 60% in a month, assuming there's 30 days in a month. So this play looks really good. So like a lot of people will be like, oh, why did lines move, right? Like a lot of times these big line movements are based around when lineups are released for the hitters that they're facing. Because again, if they're facing hitters who strike out more, then their strikeouts over is going to get more favored. Sometimes you'll even see a book move from 4.5 to 5.5. Like the line will literally move up a full strikeout if the lineup is full of hitters who strike out a lot. So that's just like one simple example. So Butler under 1.5 threes. So we can lock it in. Why not? So we can go over to the Heat game. Might as well get as many player props as possible. Jimmy Butler under 1.5 threes. So this will be the second player prop I lock in. Just gonna, follow the data, whatever. Graham Ashcraft under 5.5 strikeouts. Literally no other book. Well, one book is offering this at minus 195, but I mean, like every other book is pricing this around minus 210. You're getting minus 170 on Caesar. So this is another good play to go with. And then we'll get back to the WNBA. So we can go to the Brewers game. And I've explained before, but it's kind of like you want to have as many bets as possible placed in a given day. Like you can see in 2023, if you follow me on Pickett, again, Pickett is just some verified bet tracker company. It's like a public bet tracker. So you can see my username is OddsJamAlex. You can follow literally all of my plays there. But what was I trying to say? But like you can see I'm at over 3,000 bets, well over 3,000 bets in 2023. Because again, like if you're the best poker player in the world, you don't show up at the poker table, play one hand, and then bounce, right? Like if you have an edge, you still may, if you're the best poker player in the world, you still may get 2-7 on your first hand, right? It's all about a long-term advantage. So you want to be at the poker table as long as possible if you're the best poker player in the world. So we'll lock in one final tennis play, and then we'll get back to the NBA. So you can see another one right here. So Juan Pablo Djokovic, no games available. So anyways, maybe there's a tennis play. Maybe you guys are able to find it. But tennis, like one-on-one sports, so here we have a play on Drew Smiley on PrizePicks. So now PrizePicks is heating up a bit. So we now have 2 picks on PrizePicks. So we want to go to MLB, and then we want to go to outs, and then we want to go to Drew Smiley, and we'll take his under. And then we can take a look at WNBA again. Any discrepancies in player assists, just kind of like look through quickly. Nothing in player assists. There was a play in player rebounds. What about player rebounds plus assists? Any discrepancies? Here, there's one on Underdog Fantasy. All the other sites are at 14.5, so maybe we pocket that for later. But this is so we can check out player points plus rebounds plus assists. We can check out player points. Right, so here it's like pretty big discrepancy. Not big, but for Jessica Shepard, some books have her line at 24.5, some books 25.5. Not really clear what the play is. So we can just kind of move on. I mean, here there's a 1-point gap for Lexi Brown. PrizePicks has her line at 19. Underdog has her line at 20. Who's wrong? Who's off? I don't know. Like you want to see other data points. Like ideally, you see, hey, PrizePicks has the line at 24.5. All the other books are at, 30.5, or, you get it, 24.5. Like, you want to see clear discrepancies, just like this, right? So here's a play on parlay play. So we'll try to focus on PrizePicks, but we might as well start building another slip while we can. So you can see Jessica Shepard, her line for points plus assists, it's too high, right? We have three other data points. Betano's a sports book. PrizePicks and Underdog have her line at 14.5. So we have 3 data points all telling us, line should be set at 14.5. Parlay plays at 15.5. So their line's too high. And again, on parlay play, I'll include this, presentation in the description, but you want to go with 6 pick entries, and your break-even win rate is 53.2%. Anyways, yeah, you can play anything on Fliff as a single bet. The thing is on PrizePicks, you can't play things as single bets, right? You have to play, you can only place parlays, right? PrizePicks requires that you bet at least 2 picks. So we can go to points plus rebounds next. Anything. Nothing really there. So I think the last thing to check in the WNBA is player points. And we can take a look, see if there's any. So boom, we got a play. We got a hit. So Ariel Atkins, if we go to the WNBA, right, we want to go to points, is we want Atkins under 12.5 points, right? So look at this. All of the books, right? Well, actually, some books have her line at 12.5, but in general, books kind of have her line at 11.5. I mean, Betano, Bet365 have her line at 12.5. So maybe that's not actually the best play in the world. Maybe we want to skip over that. You can see there's just a lot of discrepancies in general compared to the NBA and the WNBA. Like here, Jessica Shepard, 11.5, 10.5 on PrizePicks, 11 on parlay play. This Betano sportsbook, no idea what they're doing. They have the line at 8.5, but the over is super heavily favored. So we can kind of look through. So here on Underdog, this play seems good on Underdog. So we might as well start building a slip. Or if you haven't used that Jokic free square, this seems decent on Underdog. Tiffany Mitchell, and we hit again yesterday. So we've been hitting on Underdog a bit. So this was from the live stream. We hit $2,100, and then I think like 2 days before we hit a $3,000 one. So we've hit a couple big ones on Underdog Fantasy recently. But like here, it's like, okay, 12.5. Well, Golden Nuggets at 13.5. I don't know. There's just big discrepancies in the WNBA in general. So maybe this play looks better. Well, again, 10.5 on Bet365, 11.5 on the sports books. So there's just a lot of interesting or big discrepancies in the WNBA in general. So what we can do is we can okay, let's flip back here maybe. So this is the Positive EV tool. This tool, most people use it for sports books, but you can also use it for the fantasy site. So if I remove Fliff, you'll see this play on Drew Smiley. And then what we can do is we can just pull up this little fantasy optimizer. But again, if you follow Underdog MLB on Twitter, oftentimes you'll see once the lineups are released, that often correlates when there's pretty good betting opportunities that become available. So what we can do is we can take a look at any of these other plays we want to go with. So basically the show line differences tab, I've explained this before, but if you just go to FanDuel, so if you just pull up FanDuel, some people have questions about this show line differences tab. I kind of toggle it between on and off because it is an approximation. But if you go to, for example, if we look at the MLB, right, there's a lot of sports books where they offer, what are called alternate pitching props and batter props as well. So for example, for Andrew Heaney, you can see from 5 strikeouts to 6 strikeouts, or 6 to 7 strikeouts, it's minus 192 to plus 108. So that's a 100-cent jump in the odds, right? 100-cent jump in the odds for 1 strikeout for Andrew Heaney to go from 6+ strikeouts to 7+ strikeouts. So basically all the show line differences tab does, and the model will continue to get better. It's going to continue to be improved, but essentially just uses, these, they're called like half point or alternate distributions, however you want to think about it, right? There's obviously going to be different odds on Heaney 6+ strikeouts versus Heaney 7+ strikeouts. So essentially all it's doing is using these sportsbook alternate, markets to back out, what should this play be priced at. So we can take a couple of these. We could look at the NBA. I mean, we might as well put a small slip together because we just need 2 more plays on PrizePicks. So we can go to the MLB and we can take Nelson under 4 strikeouts, right? Shakira Austin under 9.5 rebounds. And then the final play we can go with is Garrett Cole over 5 hits allowed, right? So this can be the first play we go with on PrizePicks. Again, it is an approximation, the show line differences feature. We recently added it. Feel free to use it, play around with it. Oftentimes I'll try to find, a couple picks on the screen or the positive EV tool, and then I'll kind of, check it out. But maybe this is the first play we go with. So I'll lock it in for $100 on PrizePicks. So we have 5 picks to win $1,000. Drew Smiley under 15.5 outs. Atkins under 12.5 points. Shakira Austin under 9.5 rebounds. Nelson under 4 strikeouts, and Garrett Cole over 5 hits allowed. So that's the first one we'll go with on PrizePicks. Hopefully you guys are able to tail it before any lines move. But anyways, let me see if anyone has questions, and then we can go from there. So no questions, but anyways, okay. I'll go ahead and let me just tweet this out with the live stream link, and then we can get going. Okay, so let's go back to PrizePicks. Yeah, I did the underdog play already. I mean, I can recommend one for you. So we can look through PrizePicks, but what we can do is what I would go with on Underdog is let's go over to Underdog Fantasy. And again, like you can kind of toggle this line differences feature on and off. Maybe there's some value in the WNBA. This Ariel Atkins play seemed pretty good. So let's go back to, let's wait for this to load. So what I'd probably take Jokic with is, I mean, it kind of depends. I mean, what's this play on Jessica Shepard? So if we go here to Jessica Shepard, yeah, so this play seems decent, right? Like if you need a pair for the Jokic, I mean, just take a look at this. So this is just from the sportsbook screen. Is PrizePicks has her line at 10.5. Parlay Play has her line at 11. Underdog's at 11.5. So you could pair the Jokic promo with Jessica Shepard under 11.5 points. So you can also see this play on the fantasy optimizer, right? So seems pretty decent. Bovada has this line at -150, which is pretty useful. We recently added this to the fantasy screen, which kind of helps add in more WNBA plays. So Jessica Shepard under 11.5 points, Jokic over 27.5 points. And then again, like typically what I do is, I just kind of pull up a bunch of these different platforms, Parlay Play, whatever, Hot Streak, Fliff, Jock Market. Again, like the more books you have, kind of the better. All these books have different promos. Underdog Fantasy is running that really good promo. All these books have different promos. They all have sign-up bonuses. And again, like you never know where the value is going to be on a given day. Just like you don't know when you show up at the poker table what your cards are going to be. If you did, that'd be really nice, but it's just not how it works. So having as many sports books as possible is great because sometimes there's a lot of value on PrizePicks and really good promos on PrizePicks. Other times, there's more value, there's more profitable bets on Underdog Fantasy. So this play looks incredible. So you can see in the Cardinals-Pirates game, it's like, what's going on here? Lines are kind of moving around, so you can just pull up a little line movement chart, click on it. But it's like the average line here, there's nothing complicated. It's kind of like being it's really like being a good poker player. It's like, the strategy, the math inside and out. You're going to get dealt crappy cards sometimes. You're going to go on losing streaks sometimes as like a sharp bettor. But like, it's all about, you have to have a long-term focus and like place a lot of bets. You need to see your results over a large sample size. So you can see here in the Cardinals game, it's like, okay, this play just showed up. It's kind of like no idea. Fliff just increased their odds from plus 160 to plus 195, which makes 0 sense because all the other sports books are still around plus 165-ish. So clearly a ton of value on this play in the Cardinals game. So we can just go here. And again, you just try to move quickly to get down the best betting opportunities. I mean, if anyone's been a trader, that's what I used to be in my full-time work is like, you can't wait forever. If you want to take advantage of the good trades, like lines can move at any time. Like they clearly just moved their line incorrectly, right? They moved it up 35 cents, which doesn't make any sense given where the other books are setting the lines, right? So this is definitely a play you want to take advantage of if you have access to Fliff. And this also isn't surprising. Oftentimes when they screw up one line, they screw up the second. They screw up a bunch of lines, right? So, but a lot of these sports books, they offer alternate total runs. So you can bet on the under 7.5, under 8, under 8.5. So sometimes, people have asked me like, should I bet this one or both, right? And it kind of just depends on, how much money you want down. So if you only if your unit size is $50 and you only want $50 of exposure, just take the higher profit margin bet and skip this one. At least that's what I do. Personally. And then we can see here any other plays popping up, whatever. This play on Drew Smiley still available. Yeah. So a lot of plays open on Fliff, which is exactly what you want. Again, it all goes back to just like when you have an edge, it's like being the best poker player. You want to play as many hands at the table as possible. Like you want as many bets open as possible as a sharp sports bettor. So you can see I got some soccer plays, wherever I can find an edge. I got some tennis plays. I got some early NBA bets for tomorrow. So you can see here now, this play just got even better. So Pinnacle just ripped odds to plus 152. So let me refresh this again. So who knows? Maybe lineups came out for the Cardinals game. We can take a look at Underdog MLB right here. So this is the Cardinals-Pirates game. So sometimes it's based off like lineup announcements. Who knows? Maybe sharp action came into the market, hammering the under. But like long story short, like Fliff's model is clearly screwing up. Like these sports books, it's not like a human is adjusting the lines. They typically just like, whatever. They have algorithms that try to do this. Fliff is a new sports book. It's kind of like a startup sports book. They don't have a lot of money, so they're not that good at pricing lines, which is good for sports bettors, right? Because it means they're easy to take advantage of. So under 8.5 runs is also profitable. So depending on how much exposure you want to this game, you can kind of keep betting it. And there's nothing super complicated going on here, right? There's like this play, the average line is plus 120. We're getting plus 135. Pinnacle, sharpest bookmaker. This is an arbitrage, right? The market is crossed with Betfair and also with Pinnacle, right? So we're getting really good value. And again, you have dozens of data points telling you where this line should be set. Pretty clear that plus 135 is really good value. And I've explained before, but like the reason this is very interesting. Yeah, we'll take a look at, I believe so. I believe that's correct. Jokic, over 0.5 triple double. I'll take a look at Jokic in a sec. But what I was going to say is like, the reason sports betting is so interesting, once you kind of think about it, and I've explained this in other live streams, but like it's the core of sports betting. So it's, the core of understanding it is like, I used to be a trader. So like if you go to Fidelity, Robinhood, Charles Schwab, E-Trade, whatever, this is the price of Facebook. Give or take a few cents if you want to buy or sell Facebook, maybe in fees, but this is the price. Right? Because the market is what you call it's efficient, right? Like there's not major discrepancies. What's crazy is in sports betting, right? This is the exact same bet, right? Like if there's 7 or less runs, your bet is going to win. But if you place your bet on FanDuel, you'd only get 164 bucks in profit if you put down 100, whereas on Fliff, you're getting 195 in profit. So like these are major discrepancies in price. Like imagine going to E-Trade and they tell you the price of Facebook is $400 and then you go to Fidelity and it's $200. It doesn't make any sense. It would be easy to be a good trader. So because all these new sports books start up and they don't know how to price lines, that's really the reason why sharp sports betting and like taking advantage of these inefficiencies is so possible, right? Is like, because every book wants to set lines independently. They're always adjusting to new information, new information like injuries, right? Injuries, lineup changes. But all these books, they all set lines independently. So they all have to move in lockstep because if they get out of sync with each other, that's a betting opportunity, right? So we can take a look at PrizePicks, Jock Market, Sleeper. So Sleeper, I rarely see profitable bets on. Thrive Fantasy, I rarely see profitable bets on. Jock Market's another good sports book. I recently signed up for it. All these sports books have some pros and some cons. So like, for example, on Parlay Play, one con of this sports book, every book has, whatever, different pros and cons and stuff like that, is one disadvantage of this platform Parlay Play is they have a lot lower betting limits. Even if you're a brand new user, whatever, you're only going to be able to bet 60 bucks on these entries. Some people don't care. Some people do care because like as you build your bankroll, even if your unit size right now is 10 bucks, is like you're always going to be capped at 60 bucks. Jock Market, they only let you bet a total of 500 bucks per day, but it's a pretty, there's been a lot of profitable bets on Jock Market. Parlay Play, there's been a lot of profitable bets. So again, like pretty simple. I just recommend having as many of these platforms as possible. But anyways, maybe let's go to Parlay Play, which is a new company. They're very similar. So this play I already bet, so I'm not going to be able to rebet it. But I've explained this before. Parlay Play is basically so I want to take his over 4.5 hits. I forget what I wanted to do with Jessica Shepard. So we can go here. So Carlson under 2.5 shots on goal. That seems pretty good. So I'm pretty sure did I already bet this? We'll take, nope. I want to go to NHL here. And I want to take Carlson under 2.5 shots on goal. So we can kind of explain these plays here in a sec. But I'm just grabbing a few of these plays, again, just from the Fantasy Optimizer, nothing super complicated. I'm trying to see if there's any WNBA plays. Anyways, let's go back to the sportsbook screen. And I think we wanted to look at points and assists. I'm trying to remember what we wanted to do with Jessica Shepard. So we want to go to WNBA. Then we want to go to points plus assists. So for Jessica Shepard, well, now Betano moved to 15.5. So it's not super clear. Like, you have 2 books at 14.5, 2 books at 15.5. So it's not really clear. Parlay Play, are they too high? Are they too low? So maybe I actually remove that play. So we can go back to PrizePicks. I mean, again, the market's always moving. I just try to, as we've seen since the start of this video, this Cardinals-Pirates game has been whipping around. I bet, a variety of these unders. So hopefully you guys are able to get down some of these plays. Perez over 5.5 strikeouts. So it's like, okay. So we can go here. Perez over 5.5 strikeouts. Nope. Perez over 5.5 strikeouts. And I've explained before, but ultimately every tool on OddsJam is just based in, data, as in sportsbook odds. There's nothing super complicated, but all the tools work slightly differently, right? So the sportsbook screen is basically only useful. The main reason I use it is sportsbooks, they all set lines independently, but they also all set odds independently. So on the sportsbook screen, what I'm basically looking for, right, is discrepancies. So this play now seems good on PrizePicks. Jessica Shepard over 24.5 PRAs. So, hey, WNBA lines are moving a bit, right? Her line is 25 on Underdog, 25.5 on Parlay Play and other sports books. So we can go back to PrizePicks and we can go here. And then we can remove maybe these two plays. And we can go to the WNBA. And we would want Jessica Shepard over 24.5 PRAs, right? We have these two other picks from before. We have this play on Drew Smiley. But what was I going to say? Is the sportsbook screen is for comparing where do books have lines set at different levels, right? So here it's like, PrizePicks has the line at 24.5. Underdog's higher at 25. Sportsbooks are higher at 25.5, right? So there's a line discrepancy, as it's called. Whereas the EV tool, right, it compares when books have the line at the same level. So here, every book has Perez's line at 5.5 strikeouts, but there's big discrepancies in the odds, right? So the prices. Because sports books can have different lines, right? There could be a book with Perez's line at 6.5, 7.5, 8.5 strikeouts, which is obviously a different bet than over under 5.5 strikeouts. So the EV tool is basically just comparing prices, right? Where do books have vastly different odds from one another? So we can refresh this, see if any new plays pop up, whatever. Obviously, the best plays currently are, these 4 MLB plays on Fliff. 3 of them are just unders in the Cardinals game. You can see Max Strus, they finally lowered the odds on his over 1.5 assists. Hopefully some of you were able to tail that. I know I gave it out. So that's always a good indication, right? If a book moves lines in your favor. So we bet Strus over 1.5 assists at plus 175. They're down to plus 160. That's a pretty good indication that, you got a pretty good bet. Did I already place a bet on Luis Ortiz? So I already bet his under 4.5 strikeouts at minus 125. Now it's profitable at minus 135. Right? So lines are moving. Again, it's probably off the backs of lineup announcements in the MLB. But anyways, so what was I trying to say? I forget. But the positive EV tool compares prices. The fantasy screen, the whatever this is called, the sportsbook screen compares is basically just useful for looking at, okay, where do books have different, lines from one another, where one book has a line set at 12.5 or 13.5, right? So we can take a look around here. So Kayla McBride, big differences in general. The books are split. DraftKings 12.5, FanDuel 13.5. Right? That Tano 12.5 with the over favored, DraftKings 12.5 with the under favored. So this is all information, right? These books, again, a lot of people just think oh, I'll create my own model and outsmart the sports books, right? It's FanDuel has hundreds of employees. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. You're not going to be able to outmodel FanDuel, right? The way you're going to be able to beat them. So this play seems pretty good. Ezzy McBegor over 10.5 points. I already load this up on Underdog. right? So this play seems pretty good on Underdog. Her line is 10.5 on Underdog. On PrizePicks, it's 11.5. On Parlay Play, it's 11. And on most of these other sports books, it's either 1 or 2 full points higher, right? DraftKings has Ezzy's line at 12.5 points. Underdog Fantasy's at 10.5. That seems pretty good. So Lexi Brown, this play seems decent on PrizePicks. So we need a couple more plays on PrizePicks. So we're just building up the slip. Nope. So I don't want player points plus rebounds plus assists. I want player points. Right? So this seems pretty good, right? Her line is 13.5 on PrizePicks. On Underdog, it's higher at 14. On Betano, it's a full point higher at 14.5. Right? So that seems pretty good. So then can check out rebounds plus assists, whatever. Again, I'll try to scroll through. I don't think there was anything in player, rebound, or I think there was a play in rebounds earlier. I'm not sure about assists. So we have this play on Shakira Austin already. We went through that earlier in the live stream. But again, I can't stress it enough. Sign up for as many of these platforms as possible. And just remember, because it is important, it's always funny when EV betting doesn't work because positive EV, the definition just means profitable. So some gamblers are just too stupid. It's horrible. But EV just means expected value, right? It's like a term that you probably learned in high school math class. But some people just they think they can outsmart the sports books. But anyways, let's go ahead. Let's continue to look for some picks on PrizePicks. So player assists, nothing. So we can check player points plus assists. We need one more play, I think, to finish out this slip. No, we have 5 picks on Underdog. So this actually seems decent. So we can go ahead and we can lock this in. We can hit this one for 150. Right, so we have some discrepancies in the WNBA. So we have Shakira Austin under 9.5 rebounds, Ariel Atkins under 12.5 points, Drew Smiley under 15.5 pitching outs, Jessica Shepard over 24.5 PRAs, and Lexi Brown over 13.5 points. So that's the second PrizePick slip. Here was the first one, number 1. And then we have number 2 right here, right? Number 1 is right here. And then number 2 is right here if you just want to, take a screenshot and bet it. So we can check points plus assists, see if there's anything. If not, whatever. Again, it's just kind of about being opportunistic. Just like being a poker player. You may get dealt pocket aces or 2-7 on your first hand, and it's just kind of, some days there's a lot of value in the MLB. Some days there's more bets on Fliff. Some days, some people will ask how many bets should I place per day? And it kind of depends, right? If it's NFL Sunday or better yet, if it's a Saturday, you have the UFC, you have college football, you have tons of different sports, there's probably going to be a lot more betting opportunities, right? On a day like that compared to today, we have 2 WNBA games. We have 2 WNBA games and that's about it. And some MLB games and then 1 NHL game. So even in the NBA finals, there's obviously less MLB betting opportunities compared to the regular season, but that's just because there's less games. So anyways, I think we needed one more play on Underdog to round out this entry. So we can go back to the Fantasy Optimizer. We can see if we like anything on Underdog Fantasy for the NBA, WNBA. And then just don't forget, again, they give you this promo on Jokic, only available on Underdog. All these books, again, a lot of people, they won't bet certain promos because they're skeptical of them, which makes sense. I'm always very skeptical of these promos, and especially at first, but Underdog Fantasy knows they're losing money on this promo. But they know people are going to tweet about it, talk about it, right? It's free marketing for them. So it's just a marketing cost, right? They lose money to the average customer, but they get new signups, a bunch of degenerates like this guy. And so it's just kind of like, anyways, yeah, I'll go back to my second pick for PrizePicks, right? They get like Underdog Fantasy is hoping a bunch of guys like Sneak Peek Locks sign up. But anyways, let's go ahead. Let's go back here. So here's the first slip or the second slip on PrizePicks, 150 to win 1,500. Again, on PrizePicks, it's in the PowerPoint I shared earlier, but you want to be going with 5 or 6 pick flex plays. Like if you just break down the math behind these platforms, and it can be a little confusing to, when you first sign up for PrizePicks, I mean, because it is a little confusing, but the way you have to think about PrizePicks is if I go to PrizePicks, right? Like, let's say I can win my over-unders correctly 56% of the time, right? That's pretty good, right? If you can get these over-unders correctly 56% of the time, you're only losing 44% of your picks, right? You have a pretty good advantage. If you can hit these over-unders 56% of the time, only losing 44%, you're clearly winning a lot more than you're losing. So basically all this spreadsheet is, so this spreadsheet just kind of like, if you want to take a look at the math behind it, this spreadsheet just kind of breaks down PrizePicks and kind of the math behind it. But if you can win 56% of your player props, right? So if you can get these correctly 56% of the time, your ROI playing 5 flex plays would be roughly 12%, which you can see right here. Whereas if you're playing 2 pick power plays, you're actually going to have an ROI of negative 6%, which is horrible, obviously. So 2 pick power plays are really bad because on 2 pick power plays, you have to win above 57.7% of your player props to show a positive ROI. Whereas for 5 pick flex plays, it's a lot lower. It's only 54.25%, which is why you'll never see me, unless there's a promo that requires you to bet 2 pick entries, I'm always placing these 5 pick power flex plays or these 6 pick flex plays. But anyways, we need one more play on Underdog. So what we can do is we can turn on the show line differences tab and we can bet something. So F it. We'll go with Jeff Green under 3 points. That's a fun bet. And then I'll hit this for $500. So Underdog Fantasy, here are the 3 picks if you want to pause it. I mean, you'll see here in a second once I bet it. I'm pretty sure they hate me because I beat them for a lot of money, but they're going to auto remove most of these bets. At least that's what they tend to do after I bet something. So if you want to bet this, here are the 3 picks. Tiffany Mitchell under 13 points, Ezzy Magbegor over 10.5 points, and Jeff Green under 3 points. Pretty random slip, but hey, following the value, trying to cash again. So hopefully we're able to win this one. So I'll bet it here again in a sec. And then, so here are the 3 picks if you just want to pause it and bet it quick before the line moves. And then we can go back here and we can just refresh the positive EV tool. Sports betting is very similar, I would say, to like being a trader. If anyone has been a trader or had interest in it, is you kind of just like watch the market move and then you take advantage of profitable betting opportunities, right? Like that's the exact same thing you do as a trader. Is like you're watching the market move and, you're hunting for those few rare opportunities. There's tens of thousands of stocks in, the market. It's really just like, okay, where's the profitable bet right now? Turns out it's on the Rockies-Royals game on this random sports book called Fliff, and it's the over 11 runs at plus 190 that I'm going to lock in, right? So I hit that, and then I'll go back to Underdog, and I'll go ahead and I'll lock this in for $500. So 3 picks, $500 to win 3,000, 6x payout. That's what we'll go with on Underdog Fantasy. And we already have a good looker for today. We need Lundell under 2 shots. But again, like the biggest restriction in sports betting is different, states have different books. So I've explained this before, but like the more books you have, the better. I would love to use Superbook. I've used this sports book for a bit when I was in Colorado and I did the sign-up bonus. Same with Desert Diamond. I used this sports book in Arizona a bit. FanDuel, none of these books are legal in California, Texas, Florida. So you're kind of not at a disadvantage. But again, every book has different, or every state has different sports books. So, like there's Hot Streak. So you want to get as many books as possible in your location. So Hot Streak is another DFS platform. They actually have the highest deposit bonus out of all other platforms. They have a $200 deposit bonus on Hot Streak. And, there's a fair amount of profitable bets on it. It's also a lot easier than PrizePicks. So on Hot Streak, it doesn't matter how many picks you select. You can go with, doesn't matter, I should make that more clear, how many picks you select. So you could go with 2-pick entries, 3-pick entries. It doesn't matter. And it's the same thing with Sleeper. So these platforms work a little different than PrizePicks, right? On PrizePicks, you always want to go with 5 or 6-pick flex plays. On Underdog Fantasy, you want to go with 3-pick entries. On Jock Market, it's 5-pick entries. But on Sleeper, on Hot Streak, it doesn't really matter. Long story short. But so the more books you have, the better. You may have some of these sports books. You may not have some of these sports books. And typically what I do is when I'm using a lot of different books just to reduce the amount of betting opportunities, is usually I'll just set my max odds or something like that to plus 190. So this actually looks like the best play currently available in the market, and it's on FanDuel. Colin Rhea over 4.5 strikeouts, plus 158 on FanDuel. The average line is plus 125. No other book really, right? Pretty clear that FanDuel's slipping up here, and hopefully this play's available. And again, what you need to remember about FanDuel as well is they have these alternate markets, because sometimes people will go to, so if we go to the Brewers game, so again, you got to move quick. It really is like being a trader. The great betting opportunities aren't going to last forever. But if you go to pitcher props, right? This is the mainline market, right? Player strikeouts, but there's also this alternate strikeout, and that's where you need to look. So you'll see here, right? This is what you want to bet. 5+ strikeouts is the exact same thing as over 4.5. If he has 5 or more strikeouts, this bet wins. Over 4.5 is the same as 5+. Sometimes sportsbooks word it in different ways. 3+ strikeouts is over 2.5. So long story short, you kind of got to know how to navigate these books and be quick, especially if you're trying to arbitrage bet. So arbitrage betting, and you can kind of we have a bunch of help videos. You can learn about this, but arbitrage betting is when book models get so out of sync with each other, like this play on Logan Allen. You can actually bet the over on one book, the under on another book. And because the discrepancies in odds are so big, in this case between Fliff and Bovada, right? You can get the under at plus 135 and the over at minus 120. So you can use an arbitrage calculator, make a risk-free profit, whatever. I mean, I won't explain everything about arbitrage again. We have a bunch of help videos and stuff on it, but you got to be quick, right? Great betting opportunities, pretty simple. They don't last forever. So, okay. So what I want to do is go back here, and then we can go to Colorado. You can kind of set your state too. Different states have different sports books. Some states have more sports books. Some states have less. Just kind of how it is. So I can go to no house advantage. No, I want 5-pick power. I want, whatever. So again, hopefully you use FanDuel and you can take advantage of this great bet, but it's not a book I have access to right now. Otherwise I would use it. So we can put in parlay play, 6-pick insured. And I think most of these we've already bet. We bet this, we bet this, we bet this, we bet this, we bet this. So we've bet a lot of these already. So this play looks really good. Logan Allen over 4.5 strikeouts, yada, yada, yada. So most of this stuff I've already bet. So that's just kind of how it is. Market dried up a bit. And then we can go back here. And there's just not as many games today. So I'm sure there will be some more opportunities in the WNBA. Again, the sportsbook screen is pretty useful for that. That's where I find a lot of my plays for Underdog Fantasy. But you know, again, whatever works, you know. So we can see real briefly, take one last peek, see if there's any value on any of these platforms. Underdog, PrizePicks, No House Advantage, whatever. So parlay play. And again, like pretty simple. Just understand how many picks are optimal for all these platforms, you know, because there's a big difference, as we showed a bit ago for PrizePicks, between placing a 2-pick entry versus a 5-pick entry. So you can see there's some value on parlay play, right? Sleepers, another sports book, right? Hot Streak was that one where we had that play on Vladdy Jr. on the positive EV tool. But anyways, I'll call this live stream a day. If anyone has questions, you know, feel free to let me know. And let's make some money. Underdog 3 flex. Underdog, so a 6x payout means plus 500 odds, right? So on Underdog Fantasy, this is a 6x payout. I'm betting 500 to win 3,000, but this 3,000 includes my $500 entry. So I'm betting 500 to win 2,500 bucks in profit. So it's plus 500 odds. But anyways, hopefully the stream was helpful. Reach out with any questions. Let's make some money. I'll probably do a stream later today if I see any good bets, but appreciate everyone's time and let's make some money.